Chosen one, stop for a moment and listen closely, because this message is reaching you at a moment that is far more important than you realize. There are warnings God gives quietly before He allows a door to close, a season to end, or a consequence to arrive. What you are sensing in your spirit may not be fear. It may be a divine wake-up call. You have been given chances, signs, confirmations, and moments to change direction. This is not meant to condemn you. It is meant to awaken you. Before you keep moving forward, pay attention, because God may be telling you that this is your last chance to respond. Chosen one, there are moments in life when heaven speaks without thunder. There is no dramatic voice from the sky, no visible sign in the clouds, yet something deep within you knows that you cannot continue living the same way. You feel a pressure in your spirit. You feel that something is changing. You may have tried to ignore it, distract yourself from it, or convince yourself that everything will somehow work itself out. But deep down, you know there are things God has been asking you to release. Maybe it is a relationship that keeps pulling you away from your purpose. Maybe it is a habit you promised yourself you would leave behind. Maybe it is a place where you have remained because you are afraid of what will happen if you step away. Maybe it is unforgiveness, pride, fear, disobedience, or simply the habit of postponing what you already know you need to do. And chosen one, understand this: a warning is mercy. When God warns you, He is not necessarily telling you that disaster is guaranteed. He may be giving you an opportunity to avoid what does not need to happen. The warning itself can be evidence that you are being given another opportunity to choose differently. You have asked God for signs before. You have prayed for clarity. You have said, God, if this is not for me, remove it. You have said, show me the way. You have asked for confirmation because you did not want to make another mistake. And now you are beginning to recognize that some of the things being removed from your life may actually be answers to those prayers. Do not chase what God is trying to remove. Do not beg for access to a door that heaven has already closed. Do not keep knocking on the door of something simply because you remember how beautiful it looked when it was open. There are doors that look attractive but lead into places where your spirit cannot breathe. There are connections that feel familiar but keep you trapped in an old version of yourself. There are opportunities that appear perfect but carry consequences you cannot yet see. God sees beyond what you see. That is why this season may feel confusing. You may be looking at what you lost while God is looking at what you were saved from. You may be crying over a person while God is protecting your purpose. You may be grieving a closed door while God is preparing you for a door that could never have opened while you remained attached to the old one. Chosen one, this is why you must stop interpreting every loss as punishment. Sometimes separation is protection. Sometimes delay is preparation. Sometimes rejection is redirection. Sometimes silence is an invitation to listen more carefully. And sometimes the discomfort you feel is the evidence that you have outgrown the place where you once felt comfortable. But there is another side to this message that you must not ignore. God's warning also requires your response. You cannot keep asking for a new season while refusing to release the old one. You cannot pray for transformation while protecting the very habits that keep you unchanged. You cannot ask God to elevate you while continuing to return to the environments that drain you. At some point, faith requires movement. There comes a moment when you have to say, enough. Enough of returning to what broke you. Enough of explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Enough of accepting less because you are afraid that nothing better will come. Enough of making excuses for behavior that God has already shown you must end. Enough of telling yourself that tomorrow will be different while doing nothing differently today. Chosen one, perhaps this is the warning you needed. Not because God wants you terrified, because God wants you awake. You have spent too long surviving situations that were never meant to become permanent. You have adapted to pain that should have pushed you toward change. You became comfortable with uncertainty because certainty required courage. But God is calling you higher. And higher does not always mean easier. Sometimes higher means harder decisions. Sometimes higher means walking away without receiving an apology. Sometimes higher means choosing peace over proving your point. Sometimes higher means obeying God, even when nobody around you understands why. Sometimes higher means being alone for a season rather than surrounded by people who keep you spiritually exhausted. You have to understand that not everyone can go where God is taking you. This does not mean you should hate them. It does not mean you should become arrogant. It simply means that every assignment has boundaries, and every season has an expiration date. Some people were sent to teach you. Some were sent to help you. Some were sent to challenge you. And some were only meant to accompany you for part of the journey. Do not force temporary people into permanent positions. That is how you create unnecessary suffering. When God removes someone, allow the removal to teach you something. When He exposes someone's character, believe what you have been shown. When patterns repeat themselves, stop calling them coincidences. You asked for discernment. Discernment sometimes looks like seeing the truth you wished were not true. Chosen one, You have been given enough evidence. Maybe you keep waiting for one more sign because you are afraid to act. Maybe you are hoping that the situation will magically become what you wanted it to be. Maybe you are holding on to potential instead of accepting reality. But potential cannot replace character. Promises cannot replace consistency. Words cannot replace actions. And memories cannot replace the present. God is not asking you to live in yesterday. There is a reason your spirit has become restless. There is a reason certain conversations no longer satisfy you. There is a reason certain environments suddenly feel heavy. There is a reason you are beginning to desire solitude, clarity, discipline, prayer, and peace. You are changing. And when you change internally, things that once felt normal can suddenly feel completely different. Do not be afraid of that. Do not assume something is wrong with you because you no longer fit into places where you once belonged. Growth changes your appetite. Growth changes your boundaries. Growth changes your priorities. Growth changes what you tolerate. And growth changes who has access to you. Chosen one, this is where many people turn back. They become uncomfortable with the new version of themselves, so they return to the old version because it is familiar. Do not do that. Do not return simply because the new road feels lonely. Loneliness is not always abandonment. Sometimes solitude is where God teaches you to recognize your own voice again. You have spent years listening to everyone else. Now you need to hear what God is saying to you. Maybe He is telling you to forgive. Maybe He is telling you to leave. Maybe He is telling you to stay and become stronger. Maybe He is telling you to stop reacting. Maybe He is telling you to start building. Maybe He is telling you to discipline your life. Maybe He is telling you to stop waiting for someone else to validate what He already placed inside you. Whatever the instruction is, do not delay simply because obedience makes you uncomfortable. Delayed obedience can become disguised disobedience when you already know what you are supposed to do. This is your moment to become serious about your life, not perfect. Serious. There is a difference. God does not require you to have everything figured out before you take the next step. He asks you to trust Him enough to take the step you can see. You do not need the entire map. You need enough light for the next step. And perhaps that is why God has not shown you everything. If you knew every difficulty ahead, you might become afraid. If you knew every blessing ahead, you might become proud. So He gives you enough grace for today, enough strength for today, enough wisdom for today, enough mercy for today. And when tomorrow arrives, there will be fresh grace for tomorrow. Chosen one, stop carrying tomorrow's weight with today's strength. You are exhausted because you are trying to solve a future that has not arrived. Come back to today. What is God asking you to do today? Who are you supposed to forgive today? What habit must you confront today? What conversation must you stop having today? What boundary must you establish today? What dream must you begin working toward today? What fear must you refuse to obey today? These questions matter because destiny is not usually destroyed in one dramatic moment. It can be delayed through countless small compromises. One more excuse, one more return, one more distraction. One more time saying, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And eventually you look back and realize that you spent years waiting for the perfect moment to become obedient. Chosen one, there may never be a perfect moment. There is only the moment you have. Use it. Do not allow fear to make your decisions. Fear will always give you reasons to remain where you are. Faith gives you reasons to move. And faith does not mean you have no questions. Faith means you keep walking even when you do. You may not understand why something ended. You may not understand why someone betrayed you. You may not understand why your plans failed. You may not understand why the season became so difficult. But you do not have to understand everything to trust God. Sometimes understanding comes after obedience. Sometimes the meaning of the painful season only becomes visible when you reach the other side. So stop demanding an explanation for every closed door. Some doors close because God knows what is behind them. Some doors close because you would have stayed too long. Some doors close because your future required you to leave your past. And some doors close because God loves you enough to interrupt the path you were choosing for yourself. Chosen one, this warning is not about predicting some specific catastrophe. It is about recognizing that choices have consequences, seasons change, and opportunities do not remain open forever. There are moments when you must respond while your heart is still tender. There are moments when conviction is strong. There are moments when clarity comes. Do not harden yourself against it. The more you ignore conviction, the easier it becomes to silence it. The more you compromise, the easier compromise becomes. The more you tolerate what you know is wrong for you, the more normal it starts to feel. That is why this moment matters. You are being called back to alignment, back to truth, back to discipline, back to prayer, back to integrity, back to the person God created you to become. And yes, that may require you to disappoint people. Let them be disappointed. You cannot sacrifice your future just to keep everyone comfortable with your present. You cannot spend your whole life shrinking yourself so others never feel challenged by your growth. You cannot keep apologizing for having boundaries. You cannot keep explaining why you need peace. You cannot keep carrying people who refuse to walk. There is a time to help. There is also a time to release. And chosen one, if you feel that time approaching, do not fight it. Let God separate what needs to be separated. Let Him reveal what needs to be revealed. Let Him correct what needs to be corrected. Let Him rebuild what needs to be rebuilt. But understand that rebuilding may look nothing like the life you imagined. The blessing may not arrive in the package you expected. The answer may not come through the person you wanted. The opportunity may not appear in the place you were watching. God is not limited by your expectations. So release the picture you created and remain open to the purpose He is creating. Your life is not over because something ended. Your story is not finished because something failed. Your future is not canceled because you made mistakes. You can repent. You can learn. You can rebuild. You can begin again. And perhaps that is the deepest meaning of this warning: begin again before you repeat the same mistake again. Do not wait until the consequences become unbearable. Do not wait until your peace disappears completely. Do not wait until the relationship destroys your confidence. Do not wait until the opportunity is gone. Do not wait until you have lost years. Respond while there is still time to respond. Chosen one, there is still grace. There is still an opportunity to turn around. There is still time to make a different decision. There is still time to close the door yourself before circumstances force it closed. There is still time to say no. There is still time to walk away. There is still time to forgive. There is still time to change. There is still time to obey. And if your heart has been telling you that something must change, stop pretending you cannot hear it. Get quiet. Pray. Ask God for wisdom. Search your motives. Examine your choices. And then be willing to act on what you discover. Because the next chapter of your life may require a version of you that no longer negotiates with the things that once controlled you. The old you may have needed everyone's approval. The new you needs God's direction. The old you may have chased people. The new you protects peace. The old you may have feared endings. The new you understands that endings can be beginnings. The old you may have questioned your worth every time someone rejected you. The new you knows that rejection cannot determine destiny. Chosen one, you are not being asked to become someone else. You are being called to become who you were created to be, and that requires courage. So if this message has touched something inside you, do not simply listen and move on. Let it challenge you. Ask yourself what you already know but have been avoiding. Ask yourself where you have been compromising. Ask yourself what you keep returning to even though you know it is costing you peace. Ask yourself what God has been trying to remove from your life. And then ask the hardest question of all: what am I afraid will happen if I finally obey? Your answer may reveal the very chain you need to break. Because sometimes the thing holding you back is not the situation. It is your fear of what life will look like without it. But chosen one, what if the life you are afraid to enter is exactly the life you have been praying for? What if the emptiness you feel after letting go is not proof that you made the wrong choice, but space being created for something new? What if the silence is not God's absence, but the beginning of your deeper listening? What if this warning is not about something terrible coming toward you, but about something greater becoming possible if you finally respond? Do not let fear answer those questions for you. Let faith answer. Let wisdom answer. Let obedience answer. And when you finally make the decision, do not keep looking backward every 5 minutes to see whether the old life is calling your name. Keep moving. Because sometimes the greatest test after leaving is whether you have the courage not to return. And there will be moments when the old familiar thing looks attractive again. There will be moments when loneliness makes the past seem better than it really was. There will be moments when you remember the good and conveniently forget the pain. When that happens, remember why you prayed for change. Remember what God showed you. Remember how many times you said you were ready for something different. Remember that peace is worth protecting. Remember that your purpose is worth protecting. Remember that your future is worth protecting. And above all, remember that you do not need to understand the entire journey before taking the next faithful step. Chosen one, there is something you must understand before you move any further. The moment you decide to obey what God has placed upon your heart, resistance may appear. The old patterns may become louder. The people you thought had forgotten about you may suddenly return. The temptations you thought you had defeated may suddenly become stronger. The doubts you thought you had buried may suddenly rise again. Do not assume that resistance means you made the wrong decision. Sometimes resistance appears because you finally stopped cooperating with the very things that were keeping you stuck. There will be moments when you question yourself. You will wonder whether you acted too quickly. You will wonder whether you should have stayed. You may even miss people who were never good for you simply because familiarity can feel safer than freedom. But do not confuse familiarity with peace. Something can be familiar and still be destructive. Something can be comfortable and still be keeping you from becoming who you are supposed to become. Chosen one, you have to learn the difference between peace and temporary relief. Temporary relief says, go back so you do not have to feel this pain. Peace says, keep walking, even though this transition is uncomfortable. Temporary relief wants the discomfort to disappear immediately. Peace is willing to endure a difficult season because it knows the destination is worth it. That is why you cannot make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. You cannot return to something simply because you are lonely tonight. You cannot reopen a door simply because you miss the person who was behind it. You cannot abandon your standards because you are tired of waiting. You cannot trade your future for 5 minutes of emotional comfort. God is teaching you patience because patience protects you from decisions made in desperation. And chosen one, desperation has caused you to accept things that your spirit already knew were beneath you. You have called crumbs a feast because you were hungry. You have called inconsistency love because you wanted to believe someone cared. You have called chaos passion because peace felt unfamiliar. You have called anxiety intuition because you were afraid to trust yourself. But now you are learning. You are becoming wiser. You are beginning to recognize patterns before they become problems. That is growth. And growth does not always feel like victory at first. Sometimes growth feels like grief. You grieve the person you thought someone was. You grieve the future you imagined. You grieve the version of yourself that stayed too long. You grieve the years you cannot get back. But grief does not mean you should return. Sometimes grief is simply evidence that something mattered to you. You can honor what happened without allowing it to control what happens next. Chosen one, stop punishing yourself for what you did not know before you knew it. You made choices with the understanding you had at the time. Now you know more. Now you see more clearly. Now you understand the patterns. So use what you learned. Do not waste the lesson by repeating the same cycle. There is no shame in admitting that you were wrong. There is no shame in admitting that you trusted the wrong person. There is no shame in admitting that you ignored warning signs. The shame would be seeing the truth now and deliberately walking back into the same fire. This is why this moment is so serious. You have information now that you did not have before. You have experience now that you did not have before. You have discernment now that you did not have before. So your next decision should not be based on who you used to be. It should be based on what you now understand. Chosen one, God may be separating you from environments that reward the old version of you because He is preparing you to become comfortable with the new version. You may notice that certain conversations no longer interest you. You may notice that gossip feels exhausting. You may notice that arguments feel pointless. You may notice that you no longer want to prove yourself. You may notice that you are less interested in being seen and more interested in being aligned. That is not weakness. That is maturity. There was a time when you needed people to understand you. Now you are learning that sometimes you can walk away without being understood. There was a time when you needed everyone to approve of your choices. Now you are learning that obedience is more valuable than applause. There was a time when you believed being alone meant something was wrong with you. Now you are learning that solitude can become a classroom. In solitude, you discover what you actually believe. In silence, you discover what your heart has been trying to tell you. In stillness, you notice what constant noise prevented you from seeing. And perhaps God has allowed some things to become quiet because you were too distracted to recognize His direction while everything was loud. Do not rush to fill the silence. Sit with it. Pray through it. Learn from it. You might discover that what you called emptiness was actually preparation. Chosen one, there are things you are about to understand that could not have been understood in your previous season. You will look back one day and realize why certain opportunities failed. You will understand why certain relationships ended. You will understand why certain plans were delayed. You will understand why you had to walk alone for a while, but you cannot force tomorrow's understanding into today's situation. You have to trust the process while you are still inside it. And this is where faith becomes real. Faith is easy when everything makes sense. Faith becomes powerful when nothing makes sense and you still refuse to give up. You may not see the result yet. You may not see the breakthrough yet. You may not see the new opportunity yet. You may not see the restoration yet. But that does not mean nothing is happening. Some things grow beneath the surface before they become visible. A seed does not announce every stage of its growth. It simply keeps developing. Your life may be doing the same. What looks like stillness may contain preparation. What looks like delay may contain development. What looks like isolation may contain strengthening. What looks like an ending may contain the beginning of something you never imagined. Chosen one, do not measure God's work only by what you can see. There are things happening in your character before they happen in your circumstances. God may be changing you before changing your situation because if your character does not change, you could carry the same problems into a new environment. A new relationship cannot heal an old mindset. A new job cannot automatically fix poor discipline. A new city cannot automatically remove old habits. A new opportunity cannot automatically give you wisdom. That is why preparation matters. You keep asking, when will it happen? But perhaps the deeper question is, who am I becoming before it happens? Because what you receive is not as important as who you become while receiving it. If God gave you everything you asked for tomorrow, would you have the wisdom to handle it? Would you protect it? Would you remain humble? Would you know who to trust? Would you know when to say no? Would you know how to manage the responsibility? Would you still seek God after receiving the blessing? Or would you only seek Him while you were waiting? These questions matter, because sometimes the blessing is not delayed because God does not want you to have it. Sometimes you are being prepared so that the blessing does not destroy you. Chosen one, you have asked for increase. Prepare for increased responsibility. You have asked for influence. Prepare for increased scrutiny. You have asked for love. Prepare to communicate honestly. You have asked for success. Prepare for discipline. You have asked for purpose. Prepare to sacrifice comfort. You have asked for freedom. Prepare to stop blaming everyone else for your choices. Every answered prayer carries responsibility. And this is why God may be confronting you now. Not to break you, to prepare you. There are habits that cannot follow you into your next season. There are mindsets that cannot follow you. There are excuses that cannot follow you. There are relationships that cannot follow you. There are fears that cannot follow you. There are addictions to approval that cannot follow you. There are old identities that cannot follow you. You cannot keep introducing yourself to the future using the name of your past. You are not only what happened to you, you are also what you choose to do with what happened to you. You were hurt, but you can heal. You were betrayed, but you can learn discernment. You were rejected, but you can learn that rejection is not the definition of your worth. You failed, but you can learn how to rebuild. You lost, but you can learn how to begin again. Your past can become wisdom instead of a prison. Chosen one, do not let yesterday become the landlord of tomorrow. You owe your future permission to exist. Give yourself permission to become someone different. Give yourself permission to outgrow what once defined you. Give yourself permission to stop explaining your transformation to people who benefited from your stagnation. Some people will only support the version of you that was convenient for them. When you establish boundaries, they may call you difficult. When you stop answering immediately, they may call you distant. When you stop participating in drama, they may call you arrogant. When you start protecting your peace, they may accuse you of changing. And they are right, you are changing. But not every change is a betrayal. Sometimes changing is the evidence that you finally listened. Chosen one, let people misunderstand you if they need to. You are not responsible for controlling every person's opinion of you. You are responsible for your character. You are responsible for your choices. You are responsible for the way you treat people. You are responsible for whether you keep your word. You are responsible for whether you follow the conviction within your heart. That is enough. Stop trying to manage the entire world. You cannot. You can only manage your response. And that is where your power begins. Someone may provoke you. You choose whether to react. Someone may disrespect you. You choose whether to become disrespectful. Someone may betray you. You choose whether betrayal turns you bitter. Someone may leave. You choose whether their departure convinces you that you are unworthy. Someone may reject you. You choose whether rejection becomes a reason to stop trying. Chosen one, you are entering a season where emotional discipline will matter more than emotional intensity. Not every feeling deserves an action. Read that again in your spirit. Not every feeling deserves an action. You can feel anger without sending the message. You can feel loneliness without returning to the wrong person. You can feel fear without quitting. You can feel sadness without surrendering your purpose. You can feel disappointment without abandoning your faith. Feelings are real, but they are not always instructions. Sometimes your feelings need comfort. Sometimes they need examination. Sometimes they need time, but they do not always need obedience. God is teaching you to become steady. Steady when people praise you. Steady when people criticize you. Steady when money comes. Steady when money becomes tight. Steady when doors open. Steady when doors close. Steady when people stay. Steady when people leave. Because if your identity depends on circumstances, every change will shake you. But if your identity is rooted in God, you can bend without breaking. Chosen one, this is the strength being developed in you. Not the strength to control everything. The strength to remain faithful when you cannot. The strength to remain kind without becoming weak. The strength to forgive without returning to unhealthy situations. The strength to love without losing yourself. The strength to walk away without hatred. The strength to wait without becoming bitter. The strength to receive success without becoming arrogant. The strength to experience failure without becoming hopeless. That kind of strength cannot be purchased. It is built through seasons exactly like the one you are living through now. So stop calling this season useless. It is producing something in you. You may not see it yet, but you are becoming more discerning, more patient, more intentional, more aware, more selective, more courageous. And there is a reason you no longer tolerate what you once tolerated. You are finally understanding the value of your peace. Chosen one, protect that peace. Not through isolation from everyone, but through wisdom about who gets access to your inner world. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves another opportunity to hurt you. Forgiveness does not require unlimited access. You can forgive someone and still maintain distance. You can love someone and still say no. You can pray for someone and still recognize that you cannot walk beside them. You can wish someone well and still choose a different road. This is not hatred, this is wisdom. And wisdom is one of the greatest protections you can develop. Chosen one, remember the warning. Do not wait until the consequence becomes obvious before you take the lesson seriously. If you see the pattern, address it. If you recognize the temptation, create distance. If you know the habit is damaging you, confront it. If you know the relationship is unhealthy, stop romanticizing it. If you know the environment is destroying your peace, make a plan to leave. If you know you have been procrastinating, start today. If you know you need to apologize, humble yourself. If you know you need to forgive, begin the process. If you know you need help, seek wise support. There is no prize for pretending you are stronger than you are. Real strength knows when to ask for help. Real strength knows when to rest. Real strength knows when to say, I was wrong. Real strength knows when to start over. And chosen one, starting over does not mean you failed. Sometimes starting over means you finally stopped lying to yourself. It means you finally chose truth. It means you finally chose peace. It means you finally chose the future over the familiar. That choice may cost you something, but everything valuable costs something. Your growth will cost old habits. Your peace will cost unnecessary arguments. Your future may cost temporary comfort. Your purpose may cost certain relationships. Your discipline will cost some pleasures. But what you gain can be far greater than what you release. And perhaps the greatest thing you gain is yourself, the version of you that no longer runs from hard conversations, the version of you that no longer begs to be chosen, the version of you that no longer confuses attention with love, the version of you that no longer needs revenge because you trust that life will reveal what needs to be revealed, the version of you that can walk into a room without needing everyone to approve, the version of you that can leave a room without wondering whether you were accepted. That is freedom. Chosen one, freedom is not having everyone. Freedom is no longer needing everyone. And God may be teaching you that right now. Some seasons become smaller before they become stronger. Your circle may shrink. Your distractions may disappear. Your priorities may change. Your life may become quieter. But quiet does not mean empty. Sometimes quiet is where foundations are built. A house does not become strong because everyone watches it being constructed. Most of the important work happens when nobody is applauding. Your private discipline will eventually produce public results. Your private prayers will shape your public decisions. Your private healing will change the way you love. Your private boundaries will change the quality of your relationships. Your private obedience will eventually become visible through the life you build. So do not become discouraged because nobody sees what you are doing. God sees, and more importantly, you see. You know how far you have come. You know what you survived. You know what you resisted. You know the nights you wanted to give up but kept going. You know the moments when you cried privately and still showed up the next day. Do not minimize that. You have survived things you once thought would destroy you, and if you survived those seasons, do not allow one difficult chapter to convince you that the story is finished. It is not finished. You are still becoming. There are still lessons. There are still opportunities. There are still decisions. There are still doors. There are still moments waiting for you, but you must become willing to meet them as the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Chosen one, this may be the last chance to stop repeating the same cycle before the cycle demands a greater price. Not because you are doomed, because patterns become consequences when they are continually ignored. If you keep choosing the same thing, you keep producing similar results. If you want a different harvest, something about the seed must change. Change the thought, change the habit, change the environment, change the relationship, change the routine, change the response, change the standard, change the decision, and then keep changing until the life you are building begins to reflect the person you are becoming. Do not expect one prayer to replace daily obedience. Do not expect one emotional breakthrough to replace consistent discipline. Do not expect one powerful moment to eliminate years of unhealthy patterns. Transformation is often built through ordinary choices repeated over time. One honest decision, one boundary, one prayer, one disciplined morning, one courageous conversation, one refusal to return, one day at a time. That is how a new life begins. Chosen one, you do not have to transform everything tonight, but you do have to stop using the need for perfection as an excuse for inaction. Take the next step, then the next, then the next. And when you fall, get back up. When you fail, learn. When you become discouraged, rest. When you become confused, seek wisdom. When you become afraid, pray. When you are tempted to return, remember what you already know, because the warning is not designed to paralyze you. It is designed to awaken you. And now that you are awake, you have a decision to make. Do you return to what God has been calling you out of, or do you finally step forward into what you have been praying to become? The answer will not be found in another sign. It will be found in your next choice. And that choice begins now. Chosen one. This is where you must stop looking backward and finally trust the road ahead. You have received the warning. You have recognized the patterns. You have felt the conviction. You have seen what happens when you ignore what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Now the question is no longer whether you know. The question is what you will do with what you know. There comes a point when knowledge must become action. You cannot keep collecting signs while refusing to make a decision. You cannot keep praying for clarity while ignoring the clarity you already received. You cannot keep asking God to change your circumstances while refusing to change yourself. This is your moment to become intentional. If something needs to end, let it end. If something needs to begin, begin it. If you need to apologize, humble yourself. If you need to forgive, release the bitterness. If you need to walk away with dignity. If you need to rebuild, rebuild patiently. If you need to wait without fear. And if you need to trust God when you cannot see the outcome, then trust Him anyway. Chosen one, remember that your future does not require you to have every answer today. It requires you to have enough courage to take the next faithful step. You are not being asked to control everything. You are being asked to remain faithful with what has been placed in your hands. Do not allow yesterday's mistakes to become tomorrow's identity. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to begin again. The door ahead may look unfamiliar, but unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Sometimes the greatest opportunities arrive disguised as endings. Sometimes the blessing begins with a goodbye. Sometimes the breakthrough begins when you finally say no to what has been draining you. So protect your peace. Guard your heart. Watch your choices. Be careful who you allow to influence you. And remain humble enough to accept correction when God reveals something in you that needs to change. Chosen one, the warning was never meant to make you live in fear. It was meant to make you live with awareness. There is still time to choose differently. There is still time to turn around. There is still time to rebuild what can be rebuilt and release what cannot. Do not waste that opportunity. Step forward without needing everyone to understand. Step forward without knowing exactly how everything will unfold. Step forward knowing that your past may explain you, but it does not have to define you. And when the road becomes difficult again, remember this moment. Remember the conviction you felt. Remember the lessons you learned. Remember why you decided that you would no longer return to the same cycle. You are not here to remain trapped. You are here to grow. You are here to become wiser. You are here to become stronger. You are here to walk in greater purpose, greater discipline, greater peace, and greater alignment. So chosen one, take the next step. Let the old chapter close. Let the lesson remain. Let the bitterness go. Let the fear lose its authority. Let faith become louder than doubt. And let your next decision prove that you finally listened. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is not that God changes everything around you. Sometimes the greatest miracle is that He changes you so deeply that the things that once controlled you no longer have power over you. And when you reach that place, you will look back and understand why certain doors had to close, why certain people had to leave, why certain seasons had to end, and why the warning came when it did. It came because there was still time. Time to choose, time to change, time to return, time to rise. And now, chosen one, your next chapter begins with the decision you make today.